talk, it's time to rock. And if you guys have got some keen eyes, take a good look at your screen. Yes, there are two Andrews, there are two rock professors, and one Brad. Yes. Now, but the question for everyone in the chat is, which version of Andrew is the handsomest one, and which version of the rock professor? Which one do you want to come back next week? That's the question.
Brad, it's the only advantage of being on the bottom, you see. The only advantage of being on the bottom is you are covering your own image up.
Don't worry. During the course of the show, we will drop out to present the what is it?
Brad
what
2
is the word?
In all his glory.
Brad 2, the doppelganger.
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 So, that's it. Oh, my
I have to say, I have to give a bit of a shout out to John.
Magnificent
for this
work,
artwork.
John.
Just brilliant, absolutely brilliant, mate. So I think I saw you in the chat a bit earlier. Well done, bro. It's fantastic. And Andrew, I don't know if you want to drop us all out for a second and just show it and present it, because I think it's well and truly worth showing.
Coming out of his thumb, he's got a flame coming out of the top of his head now.
Well, so as we go along in the show, we're going to show some photos, and you'll see the actual album cover. If you're not familiar with the album cover of Burn, that's our take on it from John ZD351.
Yeah, magnificent.
John put that together, and he's done some amazing artwork. So thank you, mate. We look forward to seeing what else you come up with. You blow us away every time. So.
Great, John. Thanks ever so much. Fantastic. That's brilliant.
I'm going to share with you guys some correspondence that we had yesterday, and he won't mind me sharing this with you guys live. So he says all good, because we were supposed to do something else, but nothing happened yesterday. So all good. I thought I may have got the schedule wrong. And then he says, production team, dear Lord, what have I got myself into? Because I've included him as, in the production team. And I've replied back saying, it's going to be a great gig, I promise. But we can't pay you. And he's replied back saying, never mind, you'll still get your money's worth.
Does that mean we'll get what we pay for? Yes.
He's a character. Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Lovely.
So thank you. There's a couple of things obviously that we want to do before we kick the show off. We want to do some shout outs to some important people. I just want to say thank you to my co-host for being here. I look forward to this. We've also got another guest joining us, and we're going to drop him in the middle with us soon. You guys might remember him. I think he did a 5150 show with us a couple of weeks ago. So we'll introduce him later on. But Rock Professor, good to see you. Good to see you, Brad. And awesome. So who's going to do the shout out to our friend, our other friend?
Oh, do the shout out right now. I'll do the chat. Right.
Well, I'll shout out to our good friend Warren. We sending you prayers and all the support and all the love and support that we can send you, mate. Our prayers are with you, and we miss you in the chat, buddy. So if you can join us from wherever you are, we'd love to see you in the chat, brother. So, yeah.
Okay, all right. And get your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, because before the Rock Professor does a shout out, we're going to drop him in here, because you might want to say hello to him. Here he is, all the way from somewhere in the Southern Hemisphere. Somewhere I can't remember. This show's international now, isn't it? Somewhere.
Luca,
hey,
good morning.
What's up?
Good morning here.
Yay. It's burning out here.
Welcome back. Do you not have air conditioning, Luca? Is this is not a thing.
Yeah.
You open the
It's a
window.
bit-
Yes.
Yeah, sort of something like that.
Yeah, good to see you, Luca. Thanks for joining us
Welcome.
again.
No, great. Thanks for having me again. Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah. And
No problem. No problem. One of the good things about Luca is that he just stuck his nose in. When he found out that we were doing this, he just replied to us and said, "Look, I'm in." You know, we love that.
Takes a bit of pressure off us.
I'm in. I'm doing this show with you guys, right? Okay, no problem.
Yeah, it's good because it takes a little bit of pressure off all us knuckleheads, or what do we call the rat bags? We're the rat bags.
Rat bags.
So yeah,
Awesome.
thanks for joining us, Luca. That's great to see you again, mate. And what's the weather like where you are? It's pretty warm.
Well, let's have a look. It's it's approaching 25 degrees. So yeah, that's pretty hot. Yeah. You guys will use degrees Celsius, right?
Yeah,
it's only Kurt that's the odd one out. Yeah.
Well, no, in the UK we go back and forth depending.
Oh,
when
really?
When it's cold, it's 5 degrees C. When it's hot, it's 81 degrees Fahrenheit. That's I can't tell you where the line is, but there is a line in which you cut over to Fahrenheit. Probably in the mid-teens, you go from 60, 61. Yes, that's
Is it not like a West Coast thing, or West Coast, East Coast thing, maybe?
The West Coast of England. That is where
Closer
I live.
to America. But like I was saying earlier before we went on, like when people ask me about like the weather in the Southern Hemisphere, you know, like how does it work? And I'm like, you know, this time of the year, you know, as we're getting closer to December, just think of Santa Claus chilling by the pool with the cocktail. That's what the weather's like, yeah. Pretty much.
That's me.
Yeah.
Cocktails by the pool.
Cocktails by the pool.
And Andrew's got the Santa Claus look, so it's like, you know, yeah.
So, if you've got a pool, Mr. Walton, you're saying that on the proceeds of this show, you've bought a pool.
I'll show you guys a photo. It's just like a little thing, you know, that my dog swims in.
Heard. My dog.
But it's a pool.
Your dog is not a very big dog. I seem to remember.
Yeah, Pepper's not very big, mate.
No. What is it? A washing up bowl or something?
Oh, come on.
It's just a dog bowl for the water.
Yeah.
He drinks out of it as well.
You get really close to it. It looks really big in all the pictures. You get really close.
The zoom lens.
Yes.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Anyway, say hello to who's in the chat.
I'll say hello to people in the chat because there's quite a lot of people in the chat. It's great.
Yeah.
Good morning, Sonia. Who's over from Texas. John, ZD351. The Dogper. Morning, the Dogper. We've got Derek Clacton as well, who's going to bed. I don't blame him. It's pretty early. Derek, enjoy the catch up. And thanks for dropping by. Ellen, of course, Ellen. And Phil S. Norwich Guitar from Norwich, over on the east side of the UK. I'm near Bristol, Phil, so we're on opposite sides of the country. But that's like driving around the corner in Australia. It's about 150 miles away. You know, it's where you go out to buy milk, isn't it? In the kind of thing. So we're a long way away. So Phil, welcome and thanks for joining. It's fantastic. Yes, and the clocks went back, so I'm surprised I'm here at all. I could still be in bed.
Okay then, so I'm glad you brought that up then, guys, because I'm keen to go an hour earlier if you guys want, or how does that work with you, Simon? I can't remember, or is this time okay?
It's fine. It's okay.
It
means I start an hour earlier, 6:30, which is fine. Remember, we were starting at 5 o'clock. That makes me dizzy.
Okay, all right. Forgive me.
This is fine.
All right,
This is
so
fine.
if this is fine, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's good. Awesome. Sorry.
In fact, slightly better. That's interesting. Phil's got some interesting comments about some of the solos. Who else I missed? Jazz Thunder 50. Good morning, Jazz Thunder 50. Crappy Luxury. Morning, Crappy. How
Hey,
you doing?
Crappy.
Christine Taylor. Morning, Christine. She's got hammered arms. That's interesting. Not the rest of her. Now, and of course, Nelson. Morning, Nelson. And Arvin as well. Good morning, Arvin. Hopefully I've spotted everybody. So welcome all. Thanks for joining. And,
Awesome.
We'll
I
keep
appreciate it.
on
Thank you, guys. On the bottom there, you'll see some social media accounts too. If you haven't already hooked up to us, I was having a chat to Brad the other day, the backdoor man, and we were discussing how our social medias are really, really important for getting what we want as a show out there, because we think that we've got something that's a little bit different to offer. So please make sure you hook up with us on Instagram. I'll fire those accounts through during the course of the show. Follow the Rock Professor. Follow Brad. Luca, I'll get your Instagram and I'll fire that up to there, because Luca's doing some stuff over there as well. So that's cool.
I'll drop my YouTube channel as well. I'll drop it as well.
Cheers, brother. More than welcome. In fact, we'll make sure that we attach that on this show.
Okay.
So it's all about sharing. It's the best we can do. We can't buy you guys a beer or a glass of wine, but if you've got a social media account that you want us to push or tag on anything that we do, we'll do it for you.
Unless you want to air freight it to me, that's great. You can always do that if you want. A 6-pack.
Yeah. No, I'm still waiting on all my beers and my apparently I got a beer dispenser here though.
all of them. Yeah.
Apparently.
Brad's beer
Those
dispensers.
on amps. Those are actually fridges. Yeah, those on Marshall amps. Marshall fridges.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
When Warren said that,
Brilliant.
it had us in hysterics. We because he just fired through a whole lot of all these cheeky comments. But when he fired that one through, I think we couldn't talk for about 15 minutes. You remember that, Simon?
Yeah.
I think we were just.
Oh yeah, that's really funny. Yes, the beer dispensers.
And to shut us up with a funny thing, that's pretty good. To shut the four of us up.
He's sliced and diced us, mate. We were done. We can get through the show.
Fantastic. So hats off to Warren for that. Great joke.
All right. Well, guys, we're here to talk about Burn, my album choice for this week. So if you got, there's Luca's got the CD there, and it's a fantastic album. I'm grateful that you guys allowed me to pick this one. It's probably one of my favorite Deep Purple records, and it actually is, and it's one of my favorite albums of all time, to be honest with you.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I love this lineup of Deep Purple. It's my favorite lineup. I love Glenn Hughes and Coverdale, like their vocal as we go through the songs. It's just remarkable. I think they were, superseded, some greatness with more greatness, and probably, in my opinion, just stepped up a tad. So that's always a good thing to do. And, from my perspective, the band became more soulful, added a little bit more fun to the hard rock, so, and I love that. I love that. That's, I'm not knocking the Mark II version of Deep Purple. I love it. I love Machine Head. It's a wonderful album, and we've done that. And, but this particular album is very close and dear to my heart. And it's actually one of my son's favorite bands and favorite album. His favorite song of all time is Burn. So there you go.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So
I'll go into.
I'd just like to say I saw them live.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
this is This is where I get a little bit upset with you, Simon, when you bring these
Only a
stories up.
little. I know, showing off. It's just showing. I saw the Mark II lineup and the Mark III lineup. So
Wow.
I've seen the Gillen and the Roger Glover version and the Glenn Hughes David Coverdale version.
Man,
Brad, let me just ask you something very quickly. Sorry. You mentioned obviously the funk and the soul aspect, which we will definitely get into. But do you feel like it's just the right balance in this album compared to Stormbringer? Because I think in Stormbringer there's a lot more of the soul and funk,
there's
genres.
a lot more record, and I like it, but it didn't go down well with the fans as well. I don't think Richie Blackmore liked it as much, but I mean, we know he's interesting. He's an interesting character at the best of times. So, but I mean, look, I love Stormbringer as well, and one day I'd love to go through that record. But this one in particular, it's just they come off the tail end of Gillen leaving, which I'll get into in a second. Pretty much, in my opinion, they just onwards and upwards and move forward in a really strong direction, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So, you guys want me to get into the nitty gritty of this record?
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. And then you're going to kick off the rankings. Luca, our guest host, is going to fire in the Rock Professor, the guy who's seen them, the show off. Will go third.
Yeah.
And I say to our children, no one likes a smart ass, do they?
It's okay. You get a pass. You've seen these great bands. You get a pass, brother.
and lucky last, the boss man Andrew, he gets to go last. So that last position is probably one of the worst ones there. I'm sorry, Andrew. But,
well, we do take turns. But I certainly look forward to hearing what. I'm surprised, actually. So I will listen intently because this is your number one Deep Purple out. So I'm listening, brother. I'm listening.
All right. Well, I mean, this record, Burn, it's the 8th studio album by Deep Purple. They released it in February 1974, and it's the first to feature the unknown David Coverdale and Glenn Hughes from Trapeze, who also played bass but was dual vocals. So the birth of the Mark III version of Deep Purple. I'll just quickly, I've got tons of notes and I've abbreviated it to be palatable so we can understand what's going on here. So
sure.
Mark III was formed this way. Exhausted with the frantic pace, Gillen requested a break. He was pushed by management to complete another tour, which resulted in a lot of tensions and ultimately led to Gillen quitting Deep Purple in 1973. And shortly after that, they got rid of Roger Glover as well, who was a big part of Deep Purple. I have to mention that. He was a songwriter. He was a massive part of Deep Purple. So that was a very big, but I think Roger was sided with Ian quite a bit. So there was that thing of push him out, get him out.
Yep.
And so in 1973, August 73, the former Trapeze bassist and vocalist Glenn Hughes joined the group. They originally intended to get him to just do both roles, play bass and vocals. However, the band came close to getting the former free vocalist Paul Rogers, and he declined and decided to start Bad Company. The idea of the remaining as a 5-piece with a dual vocalist persisted in their minds, and after several auditions, they chose David Coverdale, who was then an unknown vocalist from Northeast England. It was a self-produced album. Burn was recorded in Montreal in Switzerland during 1973 with the Rolling Stones Mobile Studio, and all members of the group participated in the songwriting, but Hughes was left off the initial given credits due to past contractual obligations. So I don't know if that's been amended, but that was pretty much from the initial.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, but it's very interesting. It has been amended. I think it was the remaster of I think 2004 or something like that. But I think on Sail Away and Mistreated, he's still left out on those two tracks. Yeah, on the credits.
Well, I mean, look, they all contributed to it, and
Yeah.
Burn sold over 1 million copies worldwide. It fared well in the charts. It was hitting the top 10 in the UK and the US and reaching #1 in several European countries. In April '74, this lineup of Deep Purple co-headlined California Jam Festival in California, which drew an audience of more than 250,000 people, and it was broadcast on national television.
Wow.
And to this day, California Jam
Oh,
is an
here we go.
iconic video for Deep Purple or performance for Deep Purple. I just watched it the other day with my son again.
Oh, it's so great. Oh,
Oh.
it's brilliant. Oh, goodness.
So you can see, and we might do a show on California Jam, so we might not go into it too much now, if that's okay, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's lock it in. Yeah.
We best leave California Jam for another one because that's a whole show within itself. It might be.
Definitely.
We could go on. We'll be here for 5 hours if we don't.
It's a show and a half.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so that was broadcast on national TV, and thankfully we've got that footage to watch. So yeah, like I said, this lineup of Deep Purple's my favorite, and there's something quite unique about the dual vocals with Glenn Hughes and Coverdale, and I do believe it was something that was just like it was destined to happen. When they sing together, it's just like Coverdale's got this woody, timbery voice, and he's got a very bluesy, soulful thing going on with his vocal, and Glenn Hughes has got the same sort of thing, but in a higher register. So when they sing together, it's magical. And for me, it's I love Ian Gillan, and I love what he did on Machine Head and Fireball and In Rock. Those albums are phenomenal. But I'm a song guy. I like songs, and I think they really, really wrote some great songs here. It's got one of my all-time favorite Deep Purple songs on this. It's got two actually, but one of them is just unbelievable. And I'm gonna leave it open-ended here because I want you guys to maybe throw in a few things. I'm sure Luca, maybe if you love Deep Purple this much, you might be able to throw a few things in there. And Simon, because you've seen them, and Andrew, yourself, you guys got anything you want to contribute to that?
Well, what I can say is that this is basically the album that got me into rock and rock guitar and just the rock genre in general. It's like you said earlier. I think Brad really summed it up. It's such a unique album just in this catalog. I think of Deep Purple in general. It's such a unique album, and I still feel that it gets downplayed for some reason, to a certain extent. But then again, it also falls into the category of successful albums with a new singer with a member change. It does fall into that category, along with like albums like Heaven and Hell, and name another one. I mean, even we big Van Halen fans, so obviously like 5150, but it's for the 70s. I think this is it really falls into that category of really successful albums where there was a change not only in the personnel but I think in a lot of the style and the soul and the funk style. It was I think it's very unique. I think for the time, I really feel that it was quite a unique mix. But wow, I mean, yeah, this is I think my top 3 favorite Deep Purple albums of all time.
Yeah. Simon, you've seen them, so can you elaborate a little bit? Can you make us more jealous?
Yeah. Well, I just for Luca's benefit, look I'm old, so I started seeing bands in about 1972, and so I saw. I live in Bristol, which is in the West Country of England, and in every city in England there is like a municipal hall run by the local council that put on gigs. So in the early 70s, all bands, pretty much, with the exception probably, I was a bit late for Led Zeppelin, but all bands went round these halls, and they seat 2,000 people kind of thing. and they got balconies there, and they're all similar. So every band goes like. So my second gig was Black Sabbath, at the Colston Hall in Bristol, and well, it's not called the Colston Hall anymore; it's called something else. But then we just used to go because, and the other interesting part is to go and see a band then cost 75p, right? If an album costs £2.50, that sort of thing, and then see a band would cost 50p, 75p to go and see them. It's like really, a fifth of the cost to buying an album,
Wow.
which clearly now it's completely the other way around. Costs millions to go and see them, hardly anything to buy their CD or their vinyl records. So
Or
they used to
nothing,
come.
rather.
Or nothing, yes, or nothing.
YouTube.
what you can offer, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But so we used to go because clearly, 75p to go and see bands is really cheap, So we just used to go,
Yeah.
and certainly, saw the Mark II lineup, which for me is the classic lineup. The one with Ian Gillan and Roger Glover. I can't escape from what it's like one of those things. When you first saw it when I was 14, that's where my heart is. So in rock and Machine Head are really for me the pinnacle of Deep Purple, what they did, and Made in Japan as well. Made in Japan was like what we played when we had parties. Completely.
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Because it contains all those classic tunes, into one place really. And for me, is a fantastic record. But also Burn. We used to play this as well because this had just come out when we were doing it. So and clearly when they toured again at the Colston Hall, with Coverdale, we went to see them and stuff, And they were great. I mean, it's one of my favorite period of music. It's the variety of things you've got when they come around. So you get Deep Purple one week, and then you have somebody completely different the next week. Go and see some acoustic thing, or the Eagles or something, or because they all just used to come, and it wasn't. These stadiums were pretty much a thing of the future. They not really anybody. In 72, so maybe the Stones may have played Wembley, but that was an exception, really. It was all, pretty much all bands that had records out, even big bands, would come around to we're going to. So they were fantastic, yeah. And you could tell from this album, they were a fantastic unit, played brilliantly. I think,
And that's another thing. Even with the new singer and new bass player. I mean, as Brad mentioned, Coverdale was unknown at this point, and my goodness, that changed forever. But they just when we go through the tracks, it's such a like well arranged album, and it's like they've been working together, for years. It's amazing. It's really well put together. Yeah.
I think that the credit needs to go to the remaining lineup. They obviously played together so much that they were really tight. So Glenn Hughes was an amazing bass player in Trapeze. So when he just walked in, he really had quite a easy job to just walk into a band that's so tight. He just needed to be on his game, and it was going to work musically. So basically, him walking in, playing off Ian Pace, one of the world's greatest drummers of all time, and how can you really go wrong? So that's just how I see it. He obviously had to step up and fit in with them, but the existing remaining lineup were very tight. Very tight. John Lord, Richie Blackmore, Ian Pace were really tight.
And they always were. I mean, I think, as you say, Brad, because they played, and they very much come from that kind of jamming era, don't they? Where you jammed, and everybody really, and you would have 10-minute songs and stuff. Nobody thought twice about having a 10-minute song. So I think people think twice a lot about having a 10-minute song now, but but then it was the groove and the the vibe. I think jamming then was just groups of musicians playing for themselves and being able to make a cool noise. I think that I don't that these days, and next week I'm going on this guitar breaks thing that I'm going on, with Josh Smith. Currently on tour with some bloke called Joe Bonamassa. Hardly ever heard of him. Yeah, currently. If you go look at Joe Bonamasa's stuff from like yesterday or the day before, the bloke in the hat with the Telecaster is Josh Smith. I'm going to be in a room with him next week. How cool is that?
I think I saw that.
Yeah.
He's two Morgan amps and he's trying to compete with Joe Bonamassa 600 watts of power.
He's dumbles starving it. No one competes with that. Yes, but and he's got his pedal board out, Mr. Bonamassa this time. Actually got a pedal board. It's about that.
Yeah. Well,
He's gone modern.
Yeah, he's got all modern rubbish.
Should we get into the tracks, guys? We'll be here for hours if we keep talking like this.
Really half an hour.
There's so much to talk about.
I
was going to say, I did have a serious point before we've gone, but now everyone talks about solos as journeys and, you go, where you're going to go, what you're going to do. I think then it wasn't really like that. If people just played, they played melodies, they went up and down the neck and then went back down again and they went around, and they play stuff in a different way than people do and thought about it differently than the way they do now.
Yeah,
I think you can all disagree with me, but that's my kind of view of it, is that they didn't talk about that. They just, Blackmore just plays, doesn't it?
Simon, that's a very good point, and I don't want to stretch this out anymore. But as a classically trained musician, it's very interesting when you go back to those, and obviously Richie Blackmore, he had this classical music influence, which we can get into if you'd like, but I think we should just maybe move on. But it's very interesting. We're talking about the solos and that, and the I think the thinking behind it. If you look at classical music, the melody lines would just be reversed or inverted and such, those type of things. Nothing, further than just, reversing those melody lines. And it was so effective, or adding rests in between and changing the maybe cutting the notes into a half speed or something like that, And I think that's a lot of, where it boils down to in some of these bands and some of these solos in the 70s. I think that's what was coming through. It was that type of, revolution coming through again, from that classical era. Yeah.
100%. Andrew, you got anything to add, or you want to go into these track listings?
I just want to, I discovered Deep Purple kind of late, and it was this album and Machine Head together that I was listening to, and the contrasts were remarkable between the two albums. But I didn't know anything about Deep Purple other than Smoke on the Water, which is a staple radio song. But a good friend of mine had this cool t-shirt which had Deep Purple, and I just thought that was cool. Deep Purple. It's just what a great name for a band, But I can't wait to do the concert ranking of the track. We definitely have to do that because that blew me away. But I love Coverdale. I fell in love with Coverdale on this album. I think he stepped up to the mark, above and beyond probably what he even expected himself to do. And I think you've hit the point, Brad, on the beginning, surrounded by these great musicians. And it becomes a cliche, I think, for us on this show because we talk about that often. But, sometimes a real gem is a standout. And this album is that standout for not just one new guy, but two new guys. So, and I just want to add another little thing too. I'm glad that you guys mentioned about this classical soloist attitude that they had. And my friends and I, we used to talk about that because, Richie Blackmore he used to sort of stand aside a little bit different, like the violin soloist, he was doing his own thing, and it was like, but he was there with the band. And it was just completely different to Jimmy Page. And that's what I liked about them. Not just the way that they sounded, but the way that they looked, because they were around the same era, completely different. And I, we've spoken on this show about Jimmy Page and, the Dragon suit and the Les Paul, but cheapers, you know, this guy, he was pretty cool too. You know, he could look pretty good with that Stratocaster. So I look forward to it. Thank you for letting me just throw a couple of
Man in black.
cents.
Andrew, if
Yeah.
you want, we could go into the Albert Hall concert if you want to at some point.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I look forward to doing more because you know this album's just blowing my socks off. So kick it off, brothers. Kick it off.
Well, you know, this week I've immersed myself in Burn, the album, and I've literally fallen in love with it all over and over again. Like, I don't think I've listened to anything else this week other than listening to this record because it's just fantastic. I mean, you put the album on and you got to sit back. I mean, the first track comes on, you sit back and you're ready for it. 6 minutes of brilliance, absolute brilliance, in my opinion. It's like a energetic sort of opening track. It's like a journey into the world of hard rock, in my opinion. It's got this blistering guitar intro, you know, and the way the drums come in, it's explosive. It's just, dun, 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 you know, the accents are just so intense. When Coverdale comes in singing, it's like someone's hit us with a baseball bat across the ribs or something. He's unbelievable. It gives me goosebumps. He's got so much depth and timbre in his voice, and at this point in his life, he's 23 years of age. Let that sink in. 23 years of age, and he's singing like a throaty, mature blues man, you know, like he's got depth to his voice. Yeah, he's singing like his life depends on it in this track. It's just phenomenal. And Glenn Hughes singing that vocal part with him, the BVs are unbelievable. The way those two worked out when they'd sing verses on, off, or together, or whatever they did, they obviously admired each other a lot. You can hear it. You can hear it in the song. The choruses are massive. Like, I'm a song guy and I love hearing melodies and I love hearing like really good sort of songs. And this chorus, you can't not, you walk away after listening to this record and you're singing Burn. You're walking down the street, you know, you're going through the supermarket to buy your dinner and you're singing Burn. You can't help it. It's there. It's unbelievable. You know, the tracked Hammonds with the guitars, the bass, the drums. I've got a sneaky suspicion that a lot of this was done live. This is a band with chemistry, and the guitar solo in this song is just unbelievably good. Richie plays loud. He's tracked his harmony parts, and they're perfect. I encourage everyone here after the show to go and check out the isolated guitar tracks on YouTube for this song. They're just epic, absolutely epic. You can hear... it's pretty much one guitar track with some overdubs, and you can hear where they've punched in and punched out during the solo. I think they may have at one point sliced the song. You can hear it in the isolated track. But I'll let you guys go and check that out, and maybe in the comments of this episode, you can put it in the comments later on. It's, you know, it's epic, and the organ solo is sensational. Like, John Lord was one of a kind. One of the best that ever was. You know, Ian Pace, his drum fills are almost impossible to nail the way he does them. Definitely an elite drummer and one of a kind as well. Love the outro. I love all the guitar licks at the end. Look, it's absolutely brilliant, and I could talk about this song alone for hours. It's my son's favorite song of all time. My son's even done a little cover of it himself. I have to give this song 100 out of 10. It's never a skip. It's probably my favorite Deep Purple song. There's one other song on this album that rates up there with it for me. Luca.
Awesome, brother.
Wow, it is really difficult to now top up on what Brad said. I think he summed it up so well. I mean, what a blistering opening track. I mean, I think it rivals Highway Star. I mean, it's wow. It just burns your eyebrows right off, right off the bat. It's just wow. I mean, and you mentioned, you know, just the overall like tone. I mean, this is this is hard rock. This is the origins of hard rock right here. This is where it really it comes down to, this is where hard rock basically began, 100%. You know, and another thing, listening to it again this week, I think Ian Pace gets downplayed a little bit. I mean, he is on fire on this track.
Oh man,
He's absolutely. I mean, wow. I mean, it's right in your face. It's insane. It's such a huge drum sound here. It's incredible, and I think that, like, we mentioned it earlier. The Coverdale and Glenn Hughes combination. It's just it's such a unique sound that'll never ever be able to be recreated ever, and it just worked so well because they had such a different vocal range and timbre. It's incredible, and it worked so well on this track. What else is there to say? I mean, Blackmore's tone on this and the solo, it's and Simon mentioned it earlier. I don't think it's, well, I think at least the bridge sections where Blackmore's playing with John Lord, I think that was a little bit planned out for sure. But I think the solo is, he just went in there with one take and then just added the overdubs afterwards. He just went in there and blew that studio out of the bloody water. It's incredible.
Wow.
And it's a lot of this, the tone, I do see how Blackmore's tone was starting to change a bit here, and you start to see, if you listen to like Man on a Silver Mountain with Rainbow, it's a lot of this burn type of style coming through. And I think this is where Blackmore was starting to change his tone a little bit. He was experimenting. There's a bit of I feel like there's more mids on his tone, and especially in the solo at least. I don't know, Brad, if you picked up on that as well. I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
There's something else going on there compared to the previous records. But I mean, goodness gracious, this is a 10 out of 10. # never skip. Never.
Simon.
Yes, could agree. Yeah, I think I'd say I couldn't agree more about this. Seems to be the origin of like Rainbow and that sound, isn't it? Like, yeah, it's different to the Mark II sound, which I would say is this very 70s sound, and this is more like a late 70s, and it's very, that's a really interesting point. I picked up on that myself. The other thing I'd say about it is that I was watching some YouTube. There was an interview, and John Lord was talking about it, and he was saying that actually he didn't like the terms hard rock or heavy rock. He didn't think Deep Purple were a hard. He said we're a rock and roll band, really. So I mean, it's interesting that he's a bit more old school, but he didn't. His view of it wasn't that they were a heavy rock band or a hard rock band at all. They were, they were a rock and roll band. Sort of harking back to that kind of and I think that anyways, I don't know if you know. So I noted a couple of things that noted. So the Burn is the song is heavily influenced by the song "Fascinating Rhythm" by George Gershwin. I don't know if you checked that out. I checked it out. It absolutely is. So I don't know if Blackmore probably got it from there. Yeah, it absolutely is. Is the same thing, but so Blackmore probably got it from there. Which is that that thing about clearly he's got more than that view of music, with all the classical influences and other influences. So coming in. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, just go check it out. The first bit, somebody plays on the piano, you go, oh look, there it is.
It's interesting, Gershwin, because Gershwin was very jazz orientated. That's very interesting. Wow.
Yeah, jazz show tune. Yeah. Well, I think that if you think about, when Blackmore was born, just the post-war, so in the post-war, we talk about this quite a lot. That that 50s period, there's not, in the UK, there's very much that kind of show tunes. The Sinatra thing is big, as well. We all think Elvis Presley blew everything away, but he didn't really. He just made a new thing, and there's still. I mean, those amazing versions. Pat Boone doing all those amazing middle of the road versions of rock and roll songs. they're worth checking out if you've never checked them out, just to see what the mainstream kind of, the mainstream kind of crooner singer made of rock and roll. Made something of it for sure, but but I think that in the UK certainly, it wouldn't have been difficult to pick up those influences and have them, and if you're Blackmore, and clearly Blackmore's got some has that classical thing in him that more than just the R&B, the rock and roll stuff that most people have been influenced by then, and the blues stuff, clearly he's influenced by more than that. And so yeah, it doesn't surprise me that there's some Gershwin in there along with other composers. So it's worth checking out just for a thing.
Yeah.
The other thing I picked up that is that on this album, the Hammond organ has a much cleaner sound. It doesn't seem to be through the Marshalls in the same way as the Mark II version. It's very much that kind of the guitar and the organ are almost two halves of the same thing. And here it seems to be a bit more. He's got a much cleaner sound going on in this. There's some some synth stuff as well, some keyboard stuff, that sort of thing. But yeah, a great opener, one of their classic records. 10 out of 10, never a skip from me. Andrew.
This song is amazing. It's the established band members of Deep Purple grabbing the two new members by the scruff of their neck and pulling them up, dragging them up to their lofty heights and saying, "This is where you got to be. This is where you got to be if you want to be with us, because this is what Deep Purple do." That's the feeling I get when I listen to this song. And these two new guys don't disappoint these established band members. You can imagine them smiling at each other. You could, I get that. This is a song that blows me away. I can't put it into words. The first time I heard it, I was speechless. There's only been, a handful of songs that I couldn't talk to. I think John's made a comment in the chat about, full on rock and roll. What an opener. And again, I hate to say this, guys, because, but this is why we do this show, because we love to talk about albums and song placements and openers. Simon, this is pretty close to Highway Star. It's pretty close. I'm not going to get into that argument. I won't.
That's a show on its own.
Yeah, I won't. But I'm just going to I think the established band members of Deep Purple just grabbed these other guys and said, "Come with us. Let's stand and deliver." And boy, they've given us 100 out of 10. It's a great opener. It's mandatory listening.
I think, Andrew, to put the point is, when you're writing an album and stuff, you want a really strong opening song, don't you? Whatever else you're doing, and if you've already written Highway Star, with that ding, 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 start, you've got to do something else, haven't you? So, I'm absolutely...
Not bad, eh? Not bad.
Clearly, this is not as good as Highway Star. And everyone knows that. I've done the maths. And that is the answer, but I respect your opinion.
Well, chat can decide.
Guys, that I discovered this week with the researching I did with this song, this album, that Eddie Van Halen named Burn one of the greatest guitar riffs ever.
Really?
Yeah. It was in a Billboard magazine interview he did. Yep.
Brad, have you tried to play the song? At least the opening riff. I'm sure you have.
I have.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting. You can't have too much gain, and it's. I mean, and Blackmore wasn't about gain. He was more about volume than gain, I think.
Right.
And wow. It's such a cool riff. When you pull it off, it's so great. Yeah.
It's an interesting riff to play because it rolls, and I see a lot of people play it wrong. And if you watch, California Jam, that's where you get it from. You got to watch that to get the roll right. So, but it's an interesting song to play, and but I've seen Whitesnake cover it, and I was really impressed with Doug Aldridge doing it. I always thought he used to play it really phenomenal, and the little guitar solo he did was sensational. But that's another show in itself too. We could go on about that. So I think we should get into track 2 because we're already an hour in. I think we're in track 1. So, all right.
No change there then. I told you, Luca. I told you. There's people on this show that talk too much.
Yeah. Well, all right, boys. We're going to tighten it up. No,
It doesn't help having me on though.
no, that's all right.
Does.
Look, so we're up to track 2, guys, and you've been smacked around the back of the head with Burn. It's just like insanely good. Then the second song takes a bit of a like a warm sunset coming up. That's what I was picturing when I hear the intro of the Hammond. I love it. That intro, dun, 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 just the sound, and Coverdale with his, what do you call it? He's crooning. He's like doing that stuff through it. It's fantastic. The drums have an amazing swing in this song. It's from the intro onwards. It's just unbelievable. And Coverdale's voice, it sounds like it could melt paint off walls in this song. It's musically, it's got a lot of blues swagger, this song. There's some funky soul vibes. The chorus is very catchy. Great dual vocals. The boys are really, like I said to you, like Hughes and Coverdale, they knew how to work together so well, and this is their first record together. It was just meant to happen, in my opinion. They just, for some reason, they knew where to situate their voices. I don't reckon they would have worked very hard on it. I reckon it would just naturally happen. That's just one of those things, The universe lined up. These two guys got together. Boom, it worked, So,
I think that's, do you know what, Brad? I think that's Glenn Hughes. Because Coverdale hadn't really sung that much before, whereas Glenn Hughes clearly had Trapeze and had other bands. I think that's Glenn Hughes. I think the credit must go to him for that. For work,
yeah,
well, he was work round Coverdale, do it.
He was but their voices were very different. But they had similar thing going on, like a soul thing. But Coverdale was a little bit more warmth and timbery, and a little bit more bluesier, in my opinion. So it just had a nice contrast, like tracking guitars, and you do one Les Paul track and one Strat track. They work well together. That's how their vocals were to me. That just worked really well. The bridge, where Hughes is singing the lead part. It kind of feels like a bit of a Beatle vibe to me. That part, for some reason, I kept listening to it over. It's like something off, Magical Mystery Tour or White Album. But I'll leave that there for you guys to sort of have a listen to that. The ability of these two men, their vocals is just. As individuals, they were outstanding, but put them together, it was just pure magic. I love the outro organ solo. The bass playing's great in this song. The whole band just sound phenomenal. I'll give it 10 out of 10. I love this track. I just picture, like a sunset coming up, even though the song's about someone taking your life, but it just has that energy for me. And I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. Luca.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned this whole like sunset thing, or sun coming up, sunrise, whichever way you prefer. I think it's more of a sunset because it's almost like needle in your arm, watching the sun set, and your life slowly draining away. It might be a bit of a somber theme, but I mean it really I feel like it fits this track perfectly. The other thing that I've written down here in my notes is one word: soul. Pretty much. I think this track here, it actually really sets the tone for a lot of the tracks on this album, for most of the rest of the album. Such incredible work, with Coverdale and Hughes. The combination here, we really see it, at the pinnacle, I think, of this album. With the choruses, I mean, it's incredible. But I think, Brad, you really summed it up really well.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
I'll give it a 10 out of 10 as well.
Simon.
Yes, agree. The other thing I'd highlight is the groove because of Glenn Hughes's bass accompanying Ian Pace's rhythm. The rhythm section on this thing is just, mate. And we talked a lot about Glenn Hughes's vocals, and but he's also a fantastic bass player and knows how to lock in with the drummer to give it a real groove. And I think that's, for me, that's where this track, where the heart of it is that, Q showing he can absolutely lock in with the drummer and give it a real swinging groove to it that, it's difficult to do and sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was 23 as well, guys. He was 23.
Well, we talk a lot about that on here, don't we? About how the age of people when they did things and how astonishing. We talk about Clapton on the Beano album being not 21 or something. It's just you think, what? How do you get the experience? How do what?
These guys were about 6 years younger than say Richie Blackmore.
Yeah. And but yes, I mean well, yes, I don't know how old Glenn Hughes is, but
He's
yeah,
17 now.
he
was 23.
Yeah, still doing it. Still doing it with Joe Bonamassa, but amongst other people, but Black Country Communion, yeah. So I'd like to highlight that. I think the alternate singing is really cool. It's it's amazing the way the two voices are different, but contribute equally to the song.
Another thing I think we forgot to mention is that this was actually the first single from this album.
Actually.
Yeah, it's very interesting that this was the first one. Yeah.
It was, really great.
The
10 out of 10 for me. Never a skip.
Andrew.
Dog Par's got a great comment here, and I'm glad that he's highlighted it about Pace, playing behind the beat. It's a classic thing that these British cats do remarkably well, and I just want to follow on with what Simon said a couple of minutes ago about the age of these guys being 23, and the other cats in the band 6-7 years older. It's just still just a young band in my mind. This ain't no prog rock band, this and they've made it quite clear that this is a hard rock and roll band, and I like that distinction. I like that definition. A rock and roll band. It's exactly what it is. Sunset, sunrise. I never thought about that, so I'm going to go and listen to this song again. I always saw it as a sunrise, but sunset makes perfect sense now. So one of the great things about what we do here is that it's like because that's going to have an immediate effect on how you listen to the song, which is great because it's the way it should be. Shouldn't be the same for everybody. I'm not going to repeat everything that Brad said. I fully agree with you, bro. I think it's just remarkable, cool second song. It's the Gin song, isn't it? It's one that they're getting ready for more. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a great song, and it really, for me, it's one of those songs that highlights John Lord in that song. So I wanted to just mention that. I think he died at 71, and he's still, in my opinion, even just before he passed away, he was still playing better than most, on the Hammond. He was just one of those freaky guys that was meant to come and enlighten everyone with his ability and make people push a bit harder. He Blackmore and John Lord played so well together. It was just unbelievable because they're both lead instruments. So they actually intertwined and they worked really well together. And I think we mentioned that on Machine Head when we did that.
Yeah, they knew they had something cooking. They knew that.
Yeah, and even when Richie left the band, John used to say that that was something quite unique that they had. Regardless of anything, he said Richie was amazing, and they had a mutual admiration, is what I'm saying. They really respected each other and played off each other really well. So the next song, Lay Down, Stay Down. Look, I love this track. Great intro. I love the piano. It's like a really cool touch. The riff is catchy. It's got a great vibe. I love the vocal. Coverdale's outstanding. Like Hughes compliments Coverdale in this with his voice. I mean, Glenn Hughes is like the voice of rock. I mean, that's everyone says that, and that's what he's labeled these days, the voice of rock. You know, great song, it swings. The chorus is swinging. Richie's playing on this is fantastic. Richie Blackmore, his guitar playing is fantastic. His solo on this is outstanding. He definitely has a style of his own, and he plays to the song perfectly. I love the change part during the solo, and I've always loved the way he doubles his harmonies, and he does that in this song again. You know, he does it with finesse. It's like something. It almost became like a bit of a trademark for him. He would double a harmony, and those things. That's just how he thought. That classical mind of his would revert back, because he was a blues player, but he loved classical as well. So I'm hearing some slide guitar in the background, and I had to listen to this a few times to really distinguish it was slide guitar. It's like there's a bit of slide going on. Tight performance by the band. And another one where I think definitely the beds to this were recorded live. 10 out of 10 for me, and definitely never a skip. Luca.
Damn, this song is fast. It's flipping. Wow. Yeah. I mean, and it's actually heavy. It's actually a heavy song. If you really listen to it, it's another burn, in my opinion. It's fourth gear all the way again, gunning it. Wow. And another thing is that the piano. It's like and I don't think this was. It's a new thing in this album. I don't think John Roll used to use a lot of piano in the previous Deep Purple albums. It's a new addition, and it's great. I love it throughout this album. The addition of the piano. That it's definitely an upright piano. You can hear it, but it's incredible. The song flows very well, and even though it's extremely fast, it's like it's everything. Just, and like you were saying earlier, it's a tight song. It's fast and it's tight. It's really, really awesome. What else? I think this is one of my favorite tracks on this album.
Oh, wow.
Definitely. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
It's a great track. Simon.
Yeah, it's fast, isn't it? And
yeah.
I don't know, but energetic and funky. I think it's one written down. But I think the other point I make is that Blackmore's solo is quite crazy. It keeps but it's a kind of it brings a slightly different feel to the song. It's just not quite what I necessarily would have expected him to play, which is cool. Just does something slightly different. He's such a unique player, Blackmore, isn't he? He just is a unique player. He's got that style. He's got what he does, and the bit with the whammy bar. That little thing with the whammy bar that he does that I feel is just him. That's what he does. I don't think of anybody else who does it in quite the same way as he does it. And hats off to him for it. 9 out of 10 from me. Never a skip. Great track.
Andrew.
Proto-punk. It's proto-punk rock. I love the song. I've got to give it a 10 out of 10. The piano doesn't just give a contrast to the song, it gives a contrast to the album, and I love that. I think it's just gives us something sonically to enjoy. Third song in, I love it. It's never a skip.
It's amazing how you mentioned, Luca, that it's a heavy song, and I always thought those accents were what made it heavy. Even though it's fast, it's got a lot of dun-dun-dun, I don't care, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun. That's what gives it that heaviness to me. I don't know if that's what it does for you guys, but if they slowed this down, it probably would sound heavier. That would be something that I would have thought. But the song works at that tempo. They couldn't have done it any other way.
Yeah.
Great riff as well. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, we're up to, a phenomenal song. I love this one, Sail Away. I love that build up on the guitar. There's some stellar playing. The whole band is just cooking in this song. Coverdale chooses to understate his vocal in this. It's very classy. It's perfectly for the song. His bluesy timbre voice, the timbre in his voice, he captivates you with his voice. And Hughes's vocal is outstanding in this as well. And there's some great drumming. The feel is fantastic. The chorus is catchy. Some great BVs. Interesting keyboard solo as well. It's quite odd, but it fits perfectly with the song. The double track guitar solo, in my opinion, that's Richie Blackmore class. I love the long outro solo at the end as well. Again, I think this is a big one for Coverdale because he's singing slightly different on this track to the other songs at this point. So I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 and a great way to close side 1 or side A. It's just fantastic. Luca.
I think at this point you're already lighting like your third joint at this point in the album. It's one of those, and I've got two words, two phrases that I've written down here: slick and cool.
Yeah,
that's it. It's such a great riff. I think there's so many great riffs on this album. It's just such like guitar riffs. Like you can go back and figure out how the hell to play that. It's so cool. It's such a cool, it's got such a great attack, and it almost feels like there's like an octave pedal or something going on in this thing. I don't know. I don't think so, but it's just something going on. It's very, very like bassy, that intro. Yeah. And it's very interesting. I was looking at the track listing now again. It's Might Just Take Your Life, and then You Lay Down, Stay Down, and now You're Sailing Away. It's such a logical like progression. Might just take your life, okay, and now you better lay down, stay down, and now now you're sailing away till tomorrow.
The next 3 songs follow suit. That's interesting you mentioned that, because if you read the next tracks, Sail Away, You Fool No One, What's Going On Here, Mistreated, and then obviously the instrumental. But yeah. Sorry, Luke, I'll cut you off there.
No, go carry on. No problem.
All good.
I love the that ominous keyboard solo John Lord does. It's actually it's haunting, but it's so like the imagery that you get from it. It's so incredible. And even Blackmore's, I think it's a slide guitar on this. Most definitely he's using a slider at least. It's so perfect for this track. It just, everything is just locked in perfect. It represents the track 100%. Yeah. I think I'd give this track also 10 out of 10. Never skip.
Simon.
Yeah, the opening bit, that basically reminded me a bit of like Stevie Wonder, almost like a Stevie Wonder song. That kind of the thing that Glenn Hughes brings, the funk. Bring the funk.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a. I agree with. I thought the slide guitar bit was a synth sound rather than a slide guitar. Is it a slide guitar?
Well, there's one part there is a solo, and it does sound like a synth. I thought it might be something to do with his organ, the way, because John was always quite unique with his sounds, but he was at this point when you watch California Jam using a synth as well.
Yeah.
So there is a synth there, but there is a separation.
It's a slide guitar as well, is it? Yeah. I couldn't quite work out whether it was the synth sounding like a slide guitar, or whether it was a slide guitar and a synth.
So there is a synth. I think the synth solo comes first.
There is a synth solo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it at the end where it's got that slide guitar bit? It's funny. That sounds to me like it was
the
a
first.
synth.
I know exactly what you mean, Simon. That first bit, you had to listen to it 3-4 times to really work out what it is. But it's definitely
it's coming from as well. Yeah.
And I don't think of Blackmore's being is being a slide player at all. I may
I
be
bet
wrong.
that solo is definitely a slide. Yeah.
Yeah. But really a
Slide
great solo. Slidey synth. Yes. That's what it does. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, it's a great. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. Great, funky song, and a great enter side one. You know, and it has that kind of funky vibe that I think is a bit of a change. Really cool. Yeah.
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 Andrew.
English songwriters. If you're drifting on an empty ocean with no wind to fill your sail, the future, your horizon, it's like searching for the Holy Grail. It's just, yeah, you know, what a story. And what, 4 lines? It's just fantastic. It just blows me away. What did you say, Brad? He was 23 years old when he wrote this. What, you know, and in conjunction with the master, you know, they've got the songwriting credits for it. So, what a killer track to end a side. This ain't a side ender. This ain't just some song that they've chucked in to, you know, end a side, because there's a lot of dodgy tracks that we've ranked, you know, on side. So, we should actually call them side killers. This ain't a
Killers or
side killer.
fillers.
Yeah. Look, I have to. I've got to continue with the tens. I just think it's remarkable. I love the imagery that the song portrayed in my mind when I was a young boy, and right through my life. Nothing's changed. Tolkien will be proud. 10 out of 10.
Awesome. I mean, we go from a song called "You Fool No One," then we go to the next side, and the next song's called "What's Going On Here." So
I say that every day. What's going on here?
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 So this, for me, is like the perfect example of a really tight band. There's some great playing. The lead guitar lines are fantastic. There's some phase pedal happening on the guitar in this song. The piano is perfect for the song. There's some great stabbing accents. You know, and how great are the dual vocals in this song? You can clearly hear how well they work together in this song vocally. There's a great guitar solo. Richie plays these rolling guitar licks in his solos, and this is a perfect example of that. As the solo progresses, he starts these rolling licks. It's so unique, and not a lot of players play anything like Richie. I know people try to at times and things, but such a unique player. This song is a perfect example of those rolling licks in the solo. Look, I like the piano solo as well. I'm going to give this song a 9 out of 10. It's never a skip. And what's going on here, you know? Luca.
No, I love the phase sound of Richie's sound on this track, and like you were saying, the rolling little licks and stuff. It's that little string crossover. It's so great. I mean, it just shows his creativity. I mean, this song is it's incredible, and I think this song here is probably, you know, the pinnacle of the soul and funk aspect on this album. I think it really comes through on this song. It's I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Never a skip.
Yeah, absolutely. Still got that the fast funky tone. I agree. And this is the song with the whammy bar, isn't it? He plays it, and he's got that classic Blackmore whammy bar that he does. It's kind of, yeah. As I say, I don't think anybody else does. Well, certainly not like him anyway. But I think for me it's the Richie and the Blackmore and Pace show. The way they play off each other is fantastic through the track. I just you know, and it sounds, I don't know about you, it sounds to be quite as though like a bit of it like come out of a jam session. You know, they clearly played a thing. You know, got something going, and and did a song. And the phase guitars that go back and forth across. So it's it's not very Blackmore, really, is it? Don't expect him to do that. Phasing on it. It's a thing. So it's a 9 out of 10 for me. Never Escape. Great opening track to side 2, and cool
Andrew.
masterclass in playing.
You can always imagine. I can always imagine John Frusciante, picking up on the song, and funking it out. He's a funk master, and being inspired by the song. Just another reason why we love this band, because they set the standard with different music genres to follow. I agree with you, Luca. I think it's a standout for that style, which is heavily influenced on the album. I've given it an 8. Now it's not because I'm anti-funk. I love the funk, but it's a good solid side opener for the second side, but never a skip.
Never a skip. Yeah, it's a great song, and it's one of the ones on the album that I don't think gets enough credit. It's look, the next song for me is like the first track. It's probably one of my favorite Deep Purple songs. It's really iconic. It's got that really iconic guitar intro, the phase, the delay with the kick drum, together, just playing that lick. And obviously when Coverdale comes in, it's just like the silence where he's holding that note, Richie's holding that note, and Coverdale comes in singing, "I've been mistreated." It's like, mate, you're hearing a man that's, he's bleeding through his voice. He's giving everything he's got in that vocal, and he's channeling some pain that he's been through, and it's there. It's like a blues man. He's singing in pain, like his heart's been ripped out of his chest. It's fantastic. The whole band are working together so amazingly on this song. All those stops in there, they just leave that little bit of tension in the song. There's some great double guitar tracking in this song. The lead up to the solo is amazing, where Coverdale's doing that baby, baby, baby vocal thing, and with the guitar licks, playing along with it. It's timeless stuff there. And there's some great double guitar tracks in the solo. Like it's the melodic part before the solo actually kicks in. It's like a little breakdown, and it's melodic, and he's playing harmonies, but just simple. It's you talk about quite a remarkable guitar player. He's just playing for the song. It's just unreal.
Read it. So guys, we're going to be rated here any moment now. So Captain Smith, thank you very much for joining us. Sorry to interrupt you, brother, but if you're here new to our channel, please hit the subscribe button. We're here weekly doing some really cool classic rock and roll albums. Any subs to our channel, we automatically sub back. Enjoy your time while you're here hanging out with us. Thank you. Johnny Bean Raid.
Johnny Bean. The captain.
Brad, sorry, brother.
You're right. Look, if I could pick a singer I'd like to be able to sing like, it would be like Coverdale on this song. That's for me. The outro vocals and guitar playing, it still captivates me. It draws me in. I love the double time at the end of the song, and the last vocal, when the song stops and he's just saying, "I've been mistreated," like that. Just, I love it. Love the lyrics. Love the song. Like Burn, I gave it 100 out of 10. I'll never skip it. It's one that I sit and play along to with my guitar every time this song comes on. It's just remarkable. And the California Jam version is timeless. But this version of this song, it's you can feel the emotion. Luca.
Man, it's so difficult to top up, Brad. This song.
I hate
This
going
song.
Now you know how we feel.
Yeah.
Damn. What can I say about Mistreated? Wow, I mean, yeah, I think everybody needs to watch that California Jam version. It's just, and you were
the
talking about
best,
how the emotion that comes out of Coverdale in the song, especially, you can see that in that version, that California Jam version. It's just, like you say, he's bleeding. He's burning. He's really just, it's like, the insert of the burn cover, like it's literally he's looking like this. He's looking a little bit like this. You know what I mean? At this point, he's being mistreated. You know what I mean? It's wow, what a great song. 10 out of 10, never skip. Richie Blackmore, that solo is just it's incredible. Does he? I don't think he does. He do the volume swells on this one. I actually see. I don't know why I've forgotten.
Well,
I think
that's not. He does the volume swells in the Mule, I think, off Fireball, but in this one, he's just playing a nice melody and he's harmonizing.
Oh, it's incredible. Oh, I love that. I love that solo. It's amazing. It's really and it's such a one thing about this album, and I think we've realized, is that it's a fast song, slow song, fast song, slow song. The pacing of this album, and then you get to this point, and it's just such the ultimate blues, laid back. It's just this is just the best. This is what makes this album, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. What did you give it, Luca?
11 out of 10.
Give it 100, mate. That's a Brad score. Right?
It's called it a Brad score, Luca. So anything you can give it 20, 50 out of 10. You see, that's a Brad score.
So
that's very
Simon,
cool.
I'm
Well,
looking forward because
yeah.
before you get into it, Simon, you've actually seen them.
Yeah,
you've seen this
do
lineup
it, yeah.
play. So
Yeah.
did they would have played this song without a doubt? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm jealous.
There are plenty of songs to play, but yes, they did. Yeah, and it's it's the perfect song for David Coverdale, isn't it? It was a perfect song to suit that big bluesy voice that he's got, and it's he brings that. That's what he brings, and that's what Blackmore saw in him, I think, and wanted him to come in the band to do. As thing, and they, this was recorded for Machine Head, but held back, so clearly,
thank goodness.
Yeah. Something for the next album is always a good idea.
I can't imagine Gillan singing this.
No, I agree, and I love the timbre in his voice in this. It's just remarkable. But sorry, Simon.
I know it's fine. No, it's fine. It's great. It's a. I think, as I say, it is Coverdale's showcase on this album more than anything else. It's the only song which Glenn Hughes doesn't sing on. Just concentrate on the bass, and I think Blackmore is the perfect accompaniment for him, in terms of what he does on the guitar and solo wise and stuff. It's the way they fit together, and Blackmore is a master at being able to play, when he's behaving himself. He's a master at being able to play along with somebody like this. It's a 10 out of 10, never a skip. 100 out of 10, Brad score. Yeah, it is the big, the other big song on this album, I think, and it's a great record, Yeah.
Guys, I left one thing out, and I'll just throw it in before, because I got interrupted and I missed a part. I just wanted to say one thing. I wanted to highlight how great Glenn Hughes' bass playing is in this song. I think he's an unsung hero in this one. Just letting the vocal be Coverdale's and just playing the bass just phenomenally. Hopefully, I didn't take that away from you, Andrew. But
Oh, no. I just want to talk about the fact that the contrast of just the one solo singer, the vocalist on this song is remarkable. Again, I just have to agree with what Brad said. Just go and listen to the song and be blown away by Coverdale. I just it just put me into another world when I heard Coverdale sing. I have to agree with you guys. This is a standout track. It's remarkable. It's yeah. I'm going to Brad score it too. I've got 50 out of 10 here. Go and listen to Coverdale. This is where it began with Coverdale. And yeah, it was
It makes me
it's his
wonder what
twist and
Coverdale
shout.
was doing before this.
He played in a band, from my understanding, that actually supported Deep Purple at one point. So, from my understanding, from my research, I was trying to find my notes on that. I cut a lot of stuff out of my intro, but yeah, where is it? He opened for Deep Purple. I'm trying to find where it was now. My
It seems like it's
notes.
a running theme with Blackmore and singers, because even with Ronnie James Dio, that was the same thing. It seems like, yeah.
Well,
He fronted a band called The Government, which had played with Deep Purple on the same bill in '69.
Ah,
Yeah, and obviously they wanted Paul Rodgers, and they didn't get him, so they got someone who sounded like not the same, but had that timbre in the voice like Paul Rodgers.
That vibe, yeah.
And I think Paul Rodgers, not trying to compare because I don't like doing that, but Paul Rodgers's vocal is a little bit smoother than Coverdale's. Coverdale's got a bit more rasp, and I kind of love that about his voice.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, Andrew, we should probably look at some of these pictures.
I'll just go through them quickly. So, these are the ones on that page that you've that you forwarded.
Yeah, so a lot of these were backstage in 1974, which is era appropriate. So Blackmore with some guitars there. I do believe there's a couple of these shots I think were backstage at California Jam. I could be wrong there, but there's some great photos. Richie with a left-handed Fender there. His Hendrix impersonation.
Yeah. Just to go back to the singing thing, I think that when I saw this version of Deep Purple, that Ronnie James Dio was supporting them in Elf.
Wow.
Trying to burn the sun. That's
the
album.
I'm pretty sure that but I'm right about that Ronnie James Dio supporting him.
And you know what's funny with California Jam? Sorry to interrupt you, Brad. Is that there's a I thought of it now because of Ronnie James Dio. Is that there's a rainbow going across the stage?
Yeah.
It's really weird, but we'll get into that when we discuss.
Yeah. Simon, again, I'm going to express how jealous and upset I am with you that you got to see Ronnie James Dio and this version of Deep Purple on the one stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Colston Hall. But that's my point about that time. They all just turned up, in your local town, in a way that they never do now.
Yeah. And there's the wizard. I call him the wizard.
The wizard.
He's hat. That's the hat he's wearing. If you're familiar with a TV performance they did where they did the song No 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 with the Mark II lineup, I think that's the same hat. If it's not, it's damn close. But I always thought that was his wizard look. You know,
Man on the Silver Mountain.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is a website I found with some fantastic pictures, and I just thought they were worth showing, just to put you in the frame and era.
Yeah.
Richie was a unique character, but that came out in his playing. So that came out in his playing, that without a doubt. And it definitely made him unique as a player. I don't think there's a lot of guitar players out there that were anywhere near what Richie Blackmore was doing in that era. I still think he was probably technically one of the best players around in that time. He was
Yeah. Interestingly, slightly less spoken about maybe than the great triumvirate of Beck, Page, and Clapton kind of thing. But absolutely,
he have a big, his influences were like Hendrix and Clapton and stuff like that. So they were in there, and he's playing, especially some of the Clapton licks. I can hear them in there, but he has a unique way he would roll those licks around, and you can hear it in classic songs like Lazy and things like that, the rolling licks. But yeah, we're not talking about that record. So this is Burn. This is the album cover. So the John, the John version of the 5151 is copied from the Burn album cover. So pictures dropped out there, Andrew.
Yep, hold on, brother.
All right. But so has everyone got this on CD? Like, has everyone got the remastered version of this as well, or have they just got the? See, that's the idea that John took. How funny! It's such a good job. It's
fantastic job.
Okay, so there's the back end of the album cover. That was I think that was the remastered one though. But I thought that the
Happy
pictures
Halloween.
the pictures are cool.
Yeah.
So there's the it's a cool album cover. I've always liked it. I used to stare at the album cover like just for hours, just looking at it. This is the boys there. That's left there is Glenn Hughes. That next one smoking is David Coverdale. John Lord with the big mo. Ian Pace there in the red jacket. And over to the right, isolating himself, was Richie Blackmore.
Yep. No surprise there.
And you can see he's not probably
even
happy.
then he had his own dressing room. I
don't think he liked the
photo
photo
people.
and stuff like that. He was never big on that. But you can see this is around the same era. He looks a bit less unhappy in that photo. But that's a very.
He looks like he's going. He looks like he's rubbing it. Right, are we done?
All right. Next, let's go to sound check. You can see in some of these promo shots that I always love these promo shots, like Coverdale's, obviously portraying the rock god image, and Glenn Hughes has always got a smile on his face. Ian Pace is like, oh, come on, let's get this done. Richie Blackmore was acting like he doesn't want to be there, and John Lord always acts like he doesn't want to be there. So, the music, that's what I'm saying. The music is what mattered to them. It wasn't the whole. I mean, the new boys were more about the image, where the rest of them were just about the music. From my point of view, anyway. That's what I'm saying. So, obviously, I think that was on their way to California Jam. That photo. Or where they just landed, was either one of the two. But so this is a shot from the California Jam, the classic California Jam that we spoke about earlier, and you can see his Marshall stacks there. One of them's a dummy, which I won't spoil it for you. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen California Jam, just go and watch it. But that Marshall on the far, let's just say that Marshall on the far right doesn't really fare up well by the end of the gig.
And those shoes. Look at those shoes he's wearing.
Yeah.
Wow, those platforms.
Yeah.
And let's just say the cameraman doesn't fare up well with his camera. Let's just leave it at that. But I always loved that picture of Richie. That was around 74 as well. The big headstock Strats, and a big part of the big thing for me with Strats. I love Hendrix and I love Stevie Ray and I love all the Strat players like Clapton and that. But for me, the big headstock Strats, really, I think of Richie Blackmore. That's what I think.
That's a great shot. Wow, that's awesome.
And that's at California Jam there.
Yeah.
So that's 250,000 people, I think it was.
Clearly, just plugging straight into his Marshall.
He was very limited with equipment. I think he had an Echoplex or something.
Yeah, he had the tape recorder, I think.
Yeah, that's like an Echo machine.
Yeah.
And
he
was very limited with effects. It was all volume, Simon.
There's a projector amp there.
Yeah. He was all about just. I mean, and you can see a lot of the effect with his playing was in his right hand, his attack, which is quite unique. So yeah, that hopefully that sort of sets a little bit of a scene for you guys with the record. The last song on the record is called A200. It's an instrumental piece. It's interesting. It's not something I listen to regularly. In fact, I skip it sometimes. It's got some great playing on it, especially the guitar solo. It's got like a blistering solo in it. And mainly for that reason and that reason alone, I'll give it like 6.5 out of 10. But I do skip it from time to time, guys. And I think they put this on just maybe, from my opinion, as an album filler, because they probably only had a short amount of time there to fill up or something. And that's just what I think. But so 6.5 out of 10 for A200, guys. Luca?
You know, to be honest, I also do skip it sometimes. I think it's just one of those tracks. Depending on my mood, I do skip it from time to time. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. But one thing, looking at this album, it's 8 tracks in total. Obviously, if you look at the remastered, there's an extra one. I think if this track wasn't on this album, it wouldn't be a short album. I wouldn't say it's a short album, but I mean, obviously, I mean it's great with it on. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still an awesome, little extra little, it's not a hidden track, but it's sort of like it is sort of like a hidden little gem on this album. But 7 out of 10. I do skip it from time to time, but nevertheless, great instrumental, some fun stuff.
The curio, what I would call a curio, sort of a little odd piece off the side. I think, Luke, I'll take your point about it. I talk about this sometimes, that 20 minutes aside is all anybody ever needs. All the great albums are 20 minutes aside. They're not. The worst thing about the CD is that you can get 70 minutes of music on it. It's hard. Just go, vinyl, good, 40 minutes, the perfect length, but 20 minutes aside. So I think that the 4 tracks they put on each side is well worth it, and they absolutely shouldn't have done any more. I never feel shortchanged by having a 17-minute sides on an album with 20 minutes aside. For me, that's the perfect length. It's not too long. Get in, put your best stuff on it. 8 songs, maybe 10, if you're lucky.
I see. Just under 4 minutes. I see. Just under 4 minutes.
Yeah, just under 4 minutes. So, that's a curious. It's a 7 out of 10. It's sometimes you might just do it, sometimes you might not. I think it has quite a prog feel to it. It's the kind of, I feel like
yes, that's it. Yeah.
It's a showcase for John Lord and his synthesizer.
Yeah. Yes.
Great face, Mr. Walton. Great face. That sour doesn't begin to cover it, does it?
Andrew, I don't know if do you want to get into the Brad's back. Brad, you don't want to get into that extra track that was added on the remastered version, the Coronavirus Riddick.
Well, that was on a B-side, wasn't it? To
yes, that's right. Yeah, I'll Just Take Your Life. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I didn't put a ranking in there, but I'm happy to talk about it if you guys want to.
I don't know. No, it's up to you guys. I just thought of it now because we were talking about.
Go on, talk about it. It's fine. Yeah. Go on. Yeah. Why not?
Luca, take it away, brother.
I don't know. I feel like it could have been on this album. I don't see why. It could have just been slotted in as a number 9 on this album. Very, very interesting. I think the reason why they left it off is maybe because the style was very, very different to everything on this album, and I think maybe that's sort of why it was left off. But very interesting. I think it could have been on. I don't see why not. And if anything, it could have maybe replaced A200. I don't know, but I mean, as it is, it's still great. But very interesting.
It's funny because in this day and age, maybe you guys might know more than I do with this, but with singles in those days, it was important to put a song that wasn't on the album on the B side, wasn't it? Is that what maybe the reason it was left off? I'm just
Oh, yeah,
you,
could be.
you had more minor songs that they were put on the B side of a single. It's more of a kind of collector's type thing than a
yeah,
you didn't think it was as strong, so it wouldn't go on the album, or it didn't fit the flow of the album, or whatever. But you'd have it and you'd go, yeah, we'll put that as a B side, So it becomes kind of something that almost that is fans might buy or something like that, that fans would
yeah,
go, but it wouldn't be on the album.
I think I agree with you on that. I don't think it suits the flow of this album. I think that's very, very 100%. But anyway, it's still it's an interesting little hidden track.
yeah, yeah. Andrew,
I don't like it at all. I'm going to give it 5 out of 10, and I often skip it. I agree with what Simon said. It doesn't make sense to me on the album, to be fair. And I think
why it's not on there,
Luca's, I think Luca's argument about flicking it over with something else, it could have worked, but it doesn't make any sense to me on this album. I can't. I don't know who's responsible for it, but I often skip it.
I mean, yeah. So I suppose it's either that or it's A200, isn't it? So which do you have, kind of thing?
I think about A200.
I think they probably got it right with having A200 and not having Wildness thing. I think this is a bit. This is what then would have been called. It's a song. It's got something, but it's a B-side. That's a thing.
Yeah, and bands can do that. You got to remember how many albums had this band done up until the 8 album. Established band that they can throw things in. They're allowed to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Look, I have to say the song that you're referring to that was left off it kind of fits in a sense. Yeah, it's got a bit of a funky vibe, and it's got some great guitar playing in it. It would have been nice on the album, but it probably, that A200. I'm just used to that being there, so I can't picture that song taking its place. If that makes sense. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe
it doesn't feel like it wasn't, it's arranged very well, A200. So it's not like it's something that they just pulled out of nowhere that was lying around. Definitely doesn't feel like that. It's definitely well constructed.
I think for me, it sounds like it's very heavily a John Lord thing. I think that might be one of his ideas. So I think they obviously just elaborated on it. And obviously, if John Lord came up with an idea, it was going to be on the album.
Yeah.
So that's just, I don't know whether he did come up with the idea, but it sounds very heavily John Lord influenced. So.
I think it's
check the credit.
I think it's. I've got a synthesizer. Let me have a go. Look, we've got an interloper. Pepper, what do you think? Look at that little dog.
Yeah, it's Blackmore Lord Pace. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Pepper the Wonder Dog. Well, guys, I have to say thank you for letting me choose this album. I really, it's a very important album to me, and I love it. And I've had a blast with this one. It's been really fun to listen to it and flog the hell out of it again. So,
It's always fun to go back, isn't it, Brad, and listen to things you haven't listened to for years. I don't think particularly. It's great.
David Coverdale is so cool. I just think David Coverdale just shines.
I remember the first. Sorry, Andrew.
No, carry on, brother.
I remember the first time I heard "Burn" the song. I heard it on like a Deepest Purple. It was a greatest hits album. And the first time I heard "Burn," I was like, "That's not the same singer." And I prefer that voice. That was just me because I resonate to those huskier sort of voices. And then when I discovered like the album "Burn" and "Stormbringer," I absolutely I just was like captivated by his voice. I was like, if I'm going to sing like anyone, I want to be able to sing like him. Too bad I can't. But it was like how I wanted to, you know. For me, he's got a very unique voice, and even in Whitesnake, as he moved on, like the first couple of Whitesnake records, fantastic. I love his work with Jimmy Page. He's singing like a young fella again in that album.
Cold Up Page, it's outstanding.
Yeah, you know, the 1987 album is just epic. What I'm saying is, it's just one of those things where Coverdale had an amazing voice. Even the cheesy sort of, I call it cheesy respectfully because I still love the album, like Slip of the Tongue and those sort of songs where he's singing so outstandingly when he's got Steve Vai in the band, and just remarkable singer, remarkable. But this 23 years of age on this album, his first like album with Deep Purple, and he's owning it, man. And same as Glenn Hughes, 23 comes in, and they you know, I mean, it nearly ended up just being Glenn Hughes playing bass and singing. That's how it was going to be. But what a smart move to bring in Coverdale as well. Smart move. You place one singer with two great singers. It's just, you know, can't lose. I always pictured their harmonies and everything in this album soulful and like they're channeling that gospel thing with their vocal approach, the way they did the harmonies and everything. It's just, that's remarkable with a rock element. It's just, I don't think I can think of an album before Burn where that had been done. So, but again, I'm just saying that's my view. So
yeah, as I've said earlier, I don't think you can give Glenn Hughes a lot of credit for being able to, you know, clearly Coverdale's the lead singer, the man at the front, you know, but he still manages to make it work. And I think that, you know, down to him and understanding what his role is and what he can do to enhance Coverdale, you know, enhance the songs and stuff. So I have a lot of time for Glenn Hughes in that sense, because I think he did a fantastic job of understanding, you know, because he could have gone, well, I want to be the lead vocalist, and kind of got a bit, you know, but clearly he didn't. Clearly said, okay, you know, there's some things that can be done, you know, which is great.
I think they really admired each other, Simon, as vocalists, and they let each other breathe, which is a very unique thing, because most singers want to own everything. No disrespect to singers, but lead singers that don't play instruments usually want to be the focal point. But
my point exactly, yes.
You know, and you know, we've all played or playing in bands where lead singers think they rule the roost, but like that's not necessarily the case.
What are you saying, Brad?
LSD, lead singer's disease.
Well, I wasn't going to be blatant and say it like that, but you know, there is a thing called LSD, guys, and it's labelled lead singer disease, and it's usually the ones that just carry microphone stands into the gig. If that,
yeah.
Can think of a few.
Yeah,
just one or two.
But thanks guys, and thank you, Luca. Your rankings and everything were fantastic. And Simon and Andrew, I want to thank you guys for letting me choose this record. And go and listen to it, guys. And like I said with when I was talking about Burn and the song, go and listen to the isolated tracks of Richie Blackmore, and there's some fantastic ones there of, you know, Machine Head and all sorts of things there as well. But you can really hear how amazing Richie was. Oh, it still is. He's still current. But in Deep Purple, his work here is fantastic. The tracking in Burn is just so good. It's simple, but it's good.
Yeah. Oh yes. Nothing like
Awesome, guys. I've enjoyed this. Luca, thank you, brother, for coming on with us and
Yes, thank you.
sharing
Good to
your
meet you.
passion and insight
Thanks. Yeah.
with us around in the deep purple-ists of your soul. We look forward to you coming back when we pick a date and do the DVD. We'd love to have you on, brother, and come back and hang out with us.
Down.
We've got to grab you for the balance rankings, and I don't know when we can do that, but stay in touch. We're friends, we're mates, so just keep in touch with us because we'll definitely get that locked on before Christmas anyway. If you can put the time aside and hang out with us and be part of that show, you're more than welcome. Because next Saturday on the 5150 show, Brad's going to talk about that. Yeah, a little bit about that. So I'll pass that on to my co-host.
Yeah, so we've got a special guest coming in who is closely tied to the channel and through one of the other people on the channel. So I won't say too much because I want to keep it a bit of a surprise. But stay tuned, for all the best and most knowledgeable stuff on Van Halen. This is the place to be, guys.
I'm going to tell you though, the show that we do next Saturday will be a groundbreaker for Van Halen fans. So and the information that's going to be on the show is going to be it will freak you out. So if you like Van Halen, you want to share the 5150 show with your friends on social media, please do. We'll be back on Sunday with the Rock Professor doing the Sunday show. As usual, if you want to find out what album we are doing, you have to follow us on Instagram and go to the stories section on Instagram, and there will be the album. And we'll decide how we're going to do that because we have to get a copy of that off to John so that he can do some wizardry.
I think John actually looks forward to this, Andrew. He likes doing this,
Look, we say this humbly, though, don't we? Yes, and we certainly do too, John. I'm chuffed personally. Yeah. The fact that you've put us on the Beano album, you've done this, the way that you do the graphics with the different time zones for us makes it so much easier. It's just fantastic. And this is what I love about the music community, Luca, is that, and yourself, and hey, I'm in. Don't be scared. If you want to do something, just jump in and say, hey, I'm in. What do you want? That's what we do. So love it.
No,
Brad, are you going to read out?
Hats off.
Oh, sorry, Luke. I'm going to let you have an opportunity to say goodbye. Trust me, I'll shut up soon. But
soon.
Brad's going to do a shout out at the end, though, to everybody in the chat. And as usual, you guys in the chat have been having this great, fantastic conversation. So we throw the comments up, and it's fantastic. I know the Rock Professor likes talking about this, and we talk about it off air. But I think it's an opportunity for us to talk about it on air too. We take the fact that we do have woman participants in our chat seriously too, and we like that. We like the balance that you guys bring. So when I say cats, we got to say kittens too. We got cats and kittens in the chat.
Yep. Well, look, thank you everyone who's joined us today. It's been a really fun one. They're all fun, but this one's been a dear one to me. So I appreciate everyone sticking around and listening to us just talk passionately about the stuff we love. So Sonia, thank you. Arvin, we've got Deja Voodoo. We got John. John, thank you, brother. Thank you so much for all the artwork. Like Andrew said, I'll just mirror that. We're chuffed, mate. So thank you very much. Keith, we've got Christine, we've got Ellen, my mother. Keith, we got Kenneth Ken, that's my father. We've got Christine. We've got
Wow.
Ambi Guitars UK. Where are we? Where are we? Sorry, guys, on my chat, it keeps flicking forward because you guys keep messaging. The dog park. Thank you guys for joining us. And we've got Helen. We've got Luca, the Luca mate. This Luca guy, we've got to, I don't know who this Luca is, Andrew. I think you have to block him, mate. Thank you, Luca. Thank you, mate. I put two and two together then. I think I'm just trying to. There's a lot of comments here, guys. So thank you so much. I've missed a lot of these because I've been presenting. So I'll go back and read a lot of these ones.
Some dodgy conversations going on there, but anyway, it's
Is
fine.
there? Yeah, well, I've been missing them all because I've been focused on trying to do the right thing on the show instead of just reading them. So I think I've got everyone, guys. But if I haven't and I've missed you, I am very apologetic because my chat won't go back any further than where it is, and I think I've got everyone. But we're very humbled that you spend this 2 hours with us, and we look forward to sharing many more with you. And thank you so much to all the people who haven't subscribed. Please subscribe. It just helps our channel. Give us a thumbs up and share our channel. We just grow organically. We're doing this because we love it, and you guys help us grow our channel. We just keep giving you the content. You guys share it. So thank you so much. And I think we've all said goodbye, guys, haven't we? So
Yeah, I'll get Luca to say goodbye. Lastly, if that's okay. That's Luca's YouTube account, guys, in the chat there. So hook on that while you're here. Everybody that's here, please go and subscribe to Luca and help his channel grow, please. I'll be quiet.
I just wanted to say, hats off to you guys for creating this incredible show.
Thank you.
That's really, and obviously thanks to everybody in the chat as well. It's, you guys always add some interesting flavor to the show. But once again, hats off to you guys. You guys really have created, a unique and incredible show. And keep it up. And everybody, if you haven't subscribed to them, subscribe to the show, subscribe to Brad, subscribe to Simon, and subscribe to Andrew as well. No, really, it's I'm so honored to be here. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you, Luca. I mean, we've got a great community here, so we don't take that for granted one bit. And thank you for those kind words, Luca. That's amazing. Thank you.
You'll be back.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, had fun. Peace, everyone.
Rock Professor, you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye, everyone. Take care. Have a good week. We'll see you next Sunday. More
See you guys.
raving it up.
Did I say Brad Backdoor Man on this show? I've made a rule that
I think you said it once, like in the intro.
Okay. I did say it once. Okay, all right. I've made a commitment. That I was going to refer to your channel name. So
I see John ZD351 says this is a place to talk about the music and not all the BS that surrounds it. Well, you know what? I would respectfully disagree with you there. So,
look,
clearly,
okay, a little bit. Bye.
See ya.
Take care all. Bye.